If you're looking for some winter decor ideas that won't break the bank, you're in the right place. Hi there, my name is Sandra, and I'm the creator of DIYs at the Schwowin's Nest. I was browsing the Kirkland's website for some winter decor ideas and came across these two carved whitewash finials. They're absolutely beautiful. They're solid wood. They're on sale for $75. Let's make them for less. This snowflake I've had in my stash since last Christmas, but my local dollar store called Dollarama, and I believe it's only available in Canada, has a bunch of these year round. Not snowflakes year round, but they do have some different type of decor pieces. They're solid wood. Now, not real wood, it's that MDF wood, and then it has a veneer on the top that is a really nice soft beige color. I'm going to take a small paintbrush, and you can see me doing this here. I'm just going to put a line through every piece of this snowflake, join them together, and that will just give me a faux look of what the other ones on the Kirkland's website looked like. For the second snowflake, I'm going to take 3 of these snowflakes that came from the Dollar Tree. They were connected in a garland and there were actually 4 altogether, but I only had 3 left. I would have preferred to do 4 or maybe even 6, and that would have made it really nice and thick and it would be the same thickness as the first snowflake. But this will have to do. I'm just going to hot glue all 3 pieces together, and then I'm going to give them a really light coat of paint that is similar to what the first snowflake looks like. For the smaller snowflake, I'm using this glass candlestick for the base. You can definitely get one from Dollar Tree. I think I grabbed this one at a thrift store, and you can see that it's already been painted a different color, not the color that I'm going to do today. And then I'm grabbing one of those wooden dice that you can find in a pack of 3 at the Dollar Tree. I don't know if they carry them everywhere, but I've only been able to find them a couple of times. So when I find new things at my Dollar Tree, I usually grab a few different packets. Then I'm going to take this large bead and I'm going to glue that on top of the dice, and that's going to give me the base for this first finial. The hot glue is all set up, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a coat of paint so all of the pieces are the same color. This color of paint is a latex paint and it's called Mushroom. I believe it's by Glidden. It was just a regular house paint color. It's very similar, I think, to the mineral color in Waverly chalk paint. I'm not sure if that one is maybe a little bit more gray, but this is sort of a gray beige kind of color. I'm going to go ahead and give everything on this a really good coat, but just one coat because I'm going to be doing a different technique on it for the second coat. Don't you just love how painting can make a piece look cohesive and meant to be together? I had glass, I had wood, I had square, I had round, and now everything just looks like it belongs together. For the second finial, it's going to be a little bit larger, and I'm starting off by using 3 of these Jenga blocks. These are actually Jenga blocks, but I want to be able to get rid of the words there. Now, those are engraved, so I can't just sand them off. I really have to go up to town. So I've decided to use my rotary tool with the sanding pad, and this makes quick work of just sanding everything down nice and smooth and totally getting rid of those engraved letters. If you don't have a rotary tool, I would suggest getting one. It really is handy for sanding, for cutting, for drilling, and it's a really wonderful tool if you're just starting out with crafting. I'll have a link to mine down in the description box. As you can see here, I am gluing the 3 Jenga blocks together, making sure that the sanded portion is on the outside so you don't see any of the letters. Now, I do need to apologize for the closeness or magnification of this video. I did have my camera set to a different magnification level and forgot to switch it back. It will get better soon. I'm going to be taking this piece of palette wood and I'm going to just glue those 3 Jenga blocks right on top of that. I'm basically making a candlestick. So you can use whatever you have on hand, scrap wood, or if you need to go and get something, you can cut some pieces from the Dollar Tree wood pieces as well. But I'm just using what I have in my stash. I absolutely love working with spindles. That's why I have a ton of them in my garage. And I'm just going to take this one that's already been cut down and just glue it right on top. And that's going to be the base for the second finial. Back to regular mode, thank goodness. I'm taking a little chip brush, and basically any type of rough brush will work. I'm going to dry brush some white on top of this beige color. Now, I started off a little lighter and decided that I wanted it to be a little bit heavier, so you will see me adding a little bit more in a bit. The larger candlestick, if you can see there, I just added one of the wooden dice also to the top of this one because that just made it have an extra level. I have this 1/2 inch wooden dowel. This came from a wood pack from my dollar store as well. I've had this for a really long time. Whenever I see wood pieces that I think might be useful in my crafting, I always stock up on stuff. This was a kids wooden building block set and it had these cylindrical pieces in them. This is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. Now, originally I had drilled some holes in there because I thought I was going to need that. Didn't need that, just glued it right on top. For the small one, I'm using a thinner dowel. This one is, I believe, just a 1/4 inch, and I added some hot glue right inside the bead and then stuck the dowel in there. In order to get the smaller snowflake to sit properly, I had to go get a larger bead that had a big hole in it, and that gave me the ability to push one of the little ends of the snowflake right inside of the bead. I made sure that it was really well set with the hot glue, added a little bit of extra on the bottom, and once that was fully cured, then I added it to the dowel with some extra hot glue. And of course, I did have to hold it in place until the glue set up. Otherwise, it was going to be kitty wampus, and I didn't want that to happen. In order to get the large snowflake to glue properly on top of that large wooden dowel, I'm going to have to cut off one of these little edges and make it flat. So I pulled out my rotary tool, and this time I put on the cutting disc, which is just a round blade that spins. And because this is MDF, it goes through like butter. It's awesome. I love using this tool. Just be aware when you're using a tool like this, there is a lot of sand and grit that flies around. So you might want to be in a well ventilated area. And now that I have that area flat, I'll be able to just hot glue that right into place. And again, I'm just going to hold it there until the glue has a chance to set. I think these turned out really sweet. They're not as expensive looking as the Kirkland ones, but I think they do the trick. If you're new to my channel and you like what you see so far, I'd love it if you could hit that red subscribe button and support the growth of my channel. A quick shout out thank you to all of my current subscribers and viewers. I really appreciate each and every one of you. This picture I thought was absolutely beautiful. It's really hard to tell whether the trees are black or a really dark green, but I decided to go with black, and I had a picture in my stash that was very similar to this shape, so it was the perfect dupe to do. I thought this picture was perfect. I had already given it a couple of coats of white spray paint, and then I went over it with a couple of coats of white chalk paint. This is a printable that I will have available for you on my website. These are just some trees that I found on Pixabay, I believe, and I will have the actual photo for you linked down in my description box. But this is a sheet that I just put together and then I printed it out on tissue paper. I just used my X-Acto knife here just to start very gently cutting out all of the images. I just find with the X-Acto knife, you get a more precise cut, and my hands don't really like using the scissors. So that's why I'm doing it this way. I did take some detailing scissors and just trim off any more of the excess. With the scissors, you are able to get a little bit closer to the actual image. I'll be using Mod Podge to apply these tissue paper prints to my picture. I'll put a coat of Mod Podge on the area first, and then just lay the tissue paper tree down, and then very gently with some Mod Podge on my brush, making sure that it's never a dry brush. It's always got some Mod Podge on it. Otherwise, you risk tearing the tissue paper. Then I'll just smooth it out and pounce my brush a little bit, and I'll repeat the process for all the rest of the trees. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I used to do tissue paper printing a lot. I really like the versatility of it. You can do black and white, you can do color, and it always looks really professional and well done on white backgrounds. Once I had all the trees on, I gave the whole picture a coat of Mod Podge, making sure that I got all of the spaces in between the trees. And this will just make sure that the trees are sealed in, the paint is sealed in on the picture, and that the sheen of it is all the same. I'm using matte Mod Podge, but even the matte Mod Podge has a little bit of a gloss, and I didn't want the tree portion to look different than the rest of the picture. I found this print on the Pottery Barn website, and I thought it would be beautiful for Christmas and then right into the winter season. So it could do double duty. But it's an 18 by 18 print with a frame for $129. Let's make it for under $2. The first thing I'm doing is just taking the backing and the glass out of this frame that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. It has this really pretty wood grain finish on it. It's actually plastic, but it has the grooves in it to make it look like wood grain. So I thought this would be a really nice frame to use for this piece. Now, definitely this is only an 8 by 10, but I didn't want to do anything much bigger because I really don't have room in my house to hang anything large. I'm giving it one coat of my black paint. It's Multisurface paint by Faux. It's in a satin sheen, and I thought that would be nice just to have a very subtle gloss on this frame to bring out some of those details. To find a similar picture like the inspiration, I went on to Pixabay.com and found this red barn image with the snow. I think it's perfect. It has the same amount of colors. It doesn't have a bright blue sky or a dark sky. It has some snow, it has some evergreen, as well as some regular trees. And this is very similar to what the inspiration looked like. So what I did was just crop it to fit my frame, and now I'm just going to be cutting out any of the excess paper that I don't need. I'll have the original image and the cropped image available for you on my website. Then I simply put it back into the frame. You could paint the back of the frame if you wanted to as well, and then used the easel on the back to display it. The next project is these white pine cones. Now, these are ceramic and they are small, medium, and large. They are $37 on sale, and the price goes up from there depending on the size that you want. So, I'm going to make these using some real pine cones. I've got a bunch of different sized pine cones. You can see this large one is missing the top. So I'm just going to look at one of these smaller ones and see what I can do to make it fit on the top of this pine cone. I will be trimming off some of the pieces on the others, but for this one, I ended up just finding one of these little white ones that would fit perfectly right on top. I used a large amount of hot glue, just pressed it on there and held it in place until it was set. It would have been so much easier if I would have had some large pine cones, but I didn't. So I ended up taking one of these other ones and just trimming down the top part of it. You can kind of see the mess I've made, and you can see where I've trimmed off some of the top of the pine cone in order to have the other one fit right in there. And again, just hot glue will keep them together. I did the same thing for the third one. I'm just taking these little snips and just trimming off probably the first 3 or 4 rows of the pine cone little stems or branches. I don't know what you call them. And then I'm going to just really do as much as I can to trim off the center portion so it's nice and flat. And when I put the other pine cone in, it'll not have too much of a gap. With the first large pine cone, for some reason, I decided it would be fun to paint it with a paintbrush. Well, it did work and it just took a really long amount of time and I just didn't want to wait for it to dry. And anyway, I ended up just taking some paint and primer in one, and this is actually a bullseye primer that blocks out some of the stains. So I thought that would be a good substitute instead of just hand painting it. I'm just going to give them a couple of coats, turning them as I go to make sure I get all of the little brown bits painted white. I didn't have a large wooden bowl like you saw on the website, but I styled them with some other little wooden bowls that I had. And I think these turned out really cute as well. Thank you so much for watching and spending some of your valuable time with me today. If you like what you saw, I'd love it if you could hit that thumbs up button. That gets me noticed more on YouTube and helps my channel grow. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on anything else I have to share. Bye for now.